Today there was a major apprehension of 13 Palestinians that crossed illegally from the West Bank into Israel. It happened on Route 6, which is the major highway in Israel. It's also called the Beach Road. I happened to be on that road today. I was heading to an appointment and the police stopped the road. I was one of the first cars that was stopped, so I got a full view of what was happening. And what happened was that the road was blocked from both sides of the road, north and south, and then police came from every direction. Military police, civilian police, border patrol, special units called Yamam, they all came out and there was tension. They were looking for a specific van or a group. They did end up apprehending 13, one person was arrested, and it was tense there for a minute. Now, because nothing actually happened, this was allegedly an attack that was planned and expected to happen imminently, and police say that they found all kinds of paraphernalia materials and then investigated and went back to these Palestinians' home in the West Bank and found more so-called materials for terrorism. They thwarted this attack, right? So it's not going to get national and international attention unless something actually happens. But I wanted to make a video to show you that this is something that Israel deals with every single day. The reason that there are checkpoints and border controls is because there is a constant threat of terrorism, that people want to come into Israel and blow themselves up and kill as many people as possible. And that includes Arabs that live here, Druze, Christians, anybody that lives here in Israel is a potential target because terrorism is random. It can happen at any moment. Now, another reason why it's important to talk about this is because a lot of college students on university campuses are calling to outwardly globalize the Intifada. When the Intifada happened in the 90s, it was basically terrorists blowing themselves up in crowded places like the Dolphinarium, a nightclub, right? Bars next to the embassy, crowded markets, crowded buses, and you never knew when a terrorist would decide to just blow themselves up in a crowd and take people with them, a suicide bomber, right? There's a fear that there's kind of like an international appetite for this, that terrorists want to resurrect this terrible tactic. And this is not okay in any civilized society. The students that are calling for this were not alive during the Intifada of the 90s. They also were not alive during 9/11. Now, let's talk about 9/11. 9/11 is just 2 days away. Today is September 9th. 9/11 is 2 days away. Was this connected? We don't know. But we understand that there was a planned attack that was to be imminent. This is the reason why there are checkpoints and borders. If there was not a threat of terrorism, if Israel had peaceful neighbors, there wouldn't be a need to have such high security. And when I talk about Palestinians from the West Bank, that's very different than Palestinian citizens of Israel. People that live in the West Bank, historically, or Gaza, historically, there have been security problems, and that's why we're in the situation that we're in now. And Israel has to have their intelligence on point all the time, because if one person decides that they want to commit suicide even on a crowded highway or in a crowded mall, that's devastating. And we have the anniversary of October 7th coming up in a month, the anniversary of 9/11 coming up in 2 days. It's worth mentioning that the people that carried out the atrocity that is 9/11 have the same exact ideology as Hamas, Muslim Brotherhood, Islamic Jihad. These are all groups that their mission is to first kill every Jew, conquer Israel, and then move on to America. Luckily, the security situation was identified and thwarted, but hopefully they got everybody that was planning the attack. We don't know. Israel is on high alert these days. It is worth mentioning because this is probably an incident that won't get international attention because nothing came of it, but it was a pretty scary situation there for a little bit. And we didn't know if somebody was going to come at us with a gun or throw a Molotov cocktail or a RPG or start shooting on the highway. Nobody knew. But what we did see was, I've never seen such a swarm of forces on Israel's main highway before. And this is what Israelis deal with all the time, especially in times of war. You should know that because their eye is on the big prize, which is America. America is what they really want. which is why, again, the ideology behind 9/11 and the ideology behind 10/7, same ideology.